Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're going to be talking about those monster storms out west. Yes, monster storms. Multiple storms out west that we're going to be seeing over the next week or maybe a bit more. We're also going to be talking about the fact that there is some potential for a big switch up in the pattern for that cold to eventually come eastward, which I know excites a lot of people. And in general, a lot of snowfall for the west, hundreds of inches. I've been talking about that for a while now. Yeah, even a couple snowstorms up in the northeast are possible and some severe weather in the southeast. We're going to need to talk about all of these things within this video. Anyways, before we get into this video, be sure to smash that like button, leave a comment down below, and subscribe for more weather-related content. For today's comment of the day, I want to know, what are your thoughts on some severe weather in the longer range as we approach January? Let me know if you think it is a possibility based off of what you're seeing, or if you think it's really not going to happen. Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll be picking one of those for tomorrow's video. Let's get straight into this video, and first things first, we're taking a look here at our radar imagery. The weird thing here is, as I woke up this morning, it kind of turns off that precipitation typing at the end. As you can see, all the white goes away. There is still snowfall falling, but for some reason, WSV3 is having a glitch where it kind of all just goes green. So we're going to have to try to ignore that as best as we can. We do have some snow showers up here for the upper Midwest and the Great Lakes. This is all associated with a little bit of a tiny clipper system. And this system is going to kind of move out like this in general and be a very minor system. We do have some lake effect snowfall we're going to need to zoom in and talk about here for New York, and maybe even a little bit of Pennsylvania getting involved there. And then we have a ton of storminess out west there, as you can see. Tons and tons for California, Washington, Oregon. I did that backwards, but whatever. Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, Utah, Arizona, Colorado, and maybe even New Mexico beginning to get involved as well. So all those western states are seeing a lot of storminess. All right, we're going to start out with the west like we always do, and we're going to need to take a very big view here. All right, we can see where that precipitation typing turns off, like I said before, but we can see tons of precipitation moving onshore, basically up and down the west coast. So this is a very major storm. We see tons of rainfall even for Southern California and Arizona here in this corridor, which is a little bit more rare there. We see a lot of heavy rainfall here and snowfall for Northern California. And then we're seeing quite a bit of heavy precipitation also for Washington and Oregon. Obviously snowy in the Cascades, rainy in the lower elevation regions. And some of those showers of precipitation are making their way further inland here to the Rockies, but it's not fully making its way into those regions yet, although there might be quite a bit of snowfall coming down already. Now here's the snow showers up here in the upper Midwest and the Great Lakes. Again, you can tell it's pretty minor. We have, very spotty areas. There is this heavier area that's kind of set up here for Wisconsin and Minnesota. That is probably a bit heavier and might even accumulate an inch to maybe 3 inches, I would say. There is some heavier snowfall in there, but it still, for you guys, isn't going to be anything major. But that's going to be the most major area up here in the upper Midwest, in my opinion. And finally, here is some lake effect snowfall, which I think is really cool. Obviously, in this corridor here, the interesting thing about lake effect is it usually stays over a pretty exclusive region when it's heading in. It doesn't usually change up too much. We see Rochester has been seeing that snowfall the entire time. Syracuse was seeing it earlier on, but it eventually stopped for you guys. Now Cortland and Binghamton are seeing quite a bit of it. Binghamton, it hasn't moved in yet, but I'm sure by the time you're watching this video, it will have moved in. But I think probably Rochester and areas up here are probably the areas that have seen the most of it, because it's been snowing the entire time for you guys. It hasn't really turned away. So if you're in these regions that are getting lake effect, let me know how bad it's been. I would be very curious to hear from you guys. Now here is our European model, and I want to walk you through this entire model run here on the precipitation type, but then we're going to take a look at the temperature anomalies and even our teleconnections, because I want to talk about why that pattern could switch up to cold in the east. It is a little bit of hopeful thinking, and it is a week out, I will tell you that, but there is some signal, which is more than we've had before, so I guess that's a little bit more of a reason to be optimistic. Now, we do see this storminess up here in the northwest. That is going to actually get worse and worse progressively. We see more and more snowfall. This is going to be by about 6 a.m., which is right now, but here we go. By the time we're reaching about 2 a.m. tonight, you can see still a lot of precipitation, a lot of snowfall there. We see these snow showers move into the northeast like I said they would. everything's kind of moving along. And by the time we're reaching about, let's move towards 2 a.m. on Saturday, December 25th, Christmas Day. And as you can see, still these areas are seeing storminess. It hasn't even taken a break. It really hasn't. It's just still going on. We see a low pressure system here and here. And these are going to generally move up like this. This has been the pattern because our jet stream has been like this. So that's what the storms do. They follow that flow. That's why we've seen that track be so frequent. That's why we've seen such warm air move up into here. That's why we've seen such cold air move into here. And then the storms move just about like this with the jet stream. I hope that makes sense. I like to include a little bit of some lessons like that overall, some simplistic lessons each video. So by the time we're reaching 6 a.m. here on Sunday, December 26th, we're seeing a bit of a winter storm up here for the Northeast. We're seeing a lot of snowfall out in the west here. Still, 3 days later, we're still seeing that, by the way. We see a second snowstorm move into the Northeast by the time we're reaching about 3 p.m. here on Monday, December 27th. We're seeing probably our third winter storm move into the west here. Sierra Nevada's really getting it this time around. But also the Cascades, the Rockies, still seeing snowfall in there. It is going to be just huge amounts. We're going to take a look at the total snowfall soon. But I had somebody comment yesterday, why are you putting snowy over the Northeast if there's going to be no snowstorms? But if you watch this, if you watch the simulated radar here as I play it out, the Northeast is actually expecting multiple snowstorms. It actually is, and this is two of many. Two, I think two. We might have missed one, but here comes another one. Icy precipitation. It's nothing major. I never claimed it'd be major, but I mean, it is a winter storm of some sort here. We see more snow in the Northeast. This is 2 a.m. on December 31st, almost into January. We see a bit of a cold front develop here. Severe weather developing in here. Let me make sure that's the first time we see severe weather develop. What was the frame I said yesterday? Was it around the 30th? Yeah, I think in here, honestly, around the 30th is when we begin to see some severe weather chances. We're seeing this moisture head up this way. A lot of that precipitation developing. We do see some cold air trying to push in from the north. And usually that's just the recipe for some severe weather to try to take place. So let me just move this over to our cape, and you can see that moisture heading in now. Convective available potential energy is what this is. And that is thunderstorm fuel. So from, let's call it the 29th here. This is 2 p.m. on the 29th. 30th, 31st, 1st. So about the 30th through the 1st of January seems to be a time frame I'm looking at for some potential severe weather. And as I move this back, we're pretty high and dry with the Cape right now. This is all the way through Christmas and towards the 28th, 29th. So you see there's no Cape, and then we get Cape there right at the end of the month. That's why we're eyeballing that time frame. Hope that makes sense. That is the time frame I'm watching, and we see a lot of that precipitation in that area developing when we're talking about this. So we see a strong cold front develop here on the 31st, and that is shoving its way in. We see a lot of precipitation forming out ahead of it with that very warm air. The Cape is there. This could be a pretty big severe weather event as well, unfortunately. And then eventually that all moves out. And then we begin to get this kind of pattern where we see storminess developing here and a lot of cold air bottled up in here. This is that pattern switch I was talking about. This is a pattern that could finally bring snow to the east. That's all I need to say. It could. If this pattern takes place like the European model is showing and it stays around, we probably would end up at some point seeing snowfall somewhere in this region, at least that region. So we'll be watching for that. That is the longer range. Obviously, that needs to be said, but we're gonna watch that extremely closely. Now, total snowfall in the east, real quick, and then we're gonna move into temperatures, like I said. Total snowfall in the east, it's pretty high and dry here, obviously for the mid-Atlantic or the southeast or anything like that. Now, for the northeast, we do have a bit because we get 2 or 3 snowstorms up here throughout the next 10 days, which is better than the 10 days before it. I can almost guarantee you that. Grays here is a dusting, if anything. Your blue areas is going to be 2 to 6 inches of snowfall all throughout these regions. And then our purples in here are going to be 6 to 10. And then actually those pinks are going to be 10 inches plus. So we see some of that for New Hampshire there in the White Mountains, and then some here for extreme northeastern Maine as well. Now, central United States, and we can see a bit of the west there as well. We do get some 10-inch plus here because all of these western storms end up moving into this region as well. So all of these regions see about a foot, maybe even approaching 2 feet for some of these regions up here in the upper Midwest. That's North Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, the upper peninsula of Michigan, and the northern lower peninsula of Michigan as well as northeastern Montana, which I would say is kissing the upper Midwest. So it's kind of involved with that region, in my opinion. Let's move out west now. As we move out west, obviously extreme amounts of snowfall. Remember, grays are adjusting, if anything, if you can find any grays in there. 2 to 6 inches of snowfall there in the blue, 6 to 10 there in the purple, 10 to 20 there in the pinks. You can kind of see some pinks. Then the pastel blues is going to be anywhere from 20 to 36 inches of snowfall. And then these kind of, these ones I always get confused what to call it. It's kind of like a magenta, kind of a purple, kind of a pink, somewhere in there. That is where you're at, 36 to 48 inches plus. But we can see some of these numbers on screen. 102 there for Oregon, 84 there for Washington, 41 here for Idaho. Let's see if we can find any more. 32, 37, 37. 82 there for Utah. So we're seeing a hefty amount of snowfall for these regions. 81 there for California, so higher amounts. But we can see the maximum in here is 174.8 inches. So a lot of these states are individually seeing 100 plus actually on the maximum for the tippiest top of some mountains. We are seeing 100 plus probably in Washington, Oregon, and California, like I said yesterday, and probably at least Utah, if not also Wyoming, Colorado, Idaho, maybe New Mexico, maybe Arizona as well, maybe Montana as well. I don't know. Maybe even Nevada. So a lot of snowfall on the way. Let's go back to a national view. Let's talk about those temperatures. It needs to be addressed. So let me move on here. Now, as we move on with the temperature anomalies, we're actually in a cold pattern right now. We are. This is going to progressively warm up. This is by the time we're reaching the 26th. Clearly, the jet stream is doing something like this. You can see that. Let's move it further. It keeps doing that. It gets actually way colder out west here. Way colder. This in here is potentially historic lows for some regions. So let's zoom in to the west again real quick. Yeah, this is fairly cold, obviously. This is, 28, 29, 30 degrees below zero there. Move this a little bit back. And these seem to be centered a little bit further east than they were before. But generally, the purples here are going to be your single digits. This is going to be your teens and 20s here. Then this is going to be your below zero amounts. This is your, 10 below zero amounts. And then your 20 below zero amounts, maybe even 30 below zero amounts. So we have a ton of cold in this region with these below average temperatures. So this is no joke. No joke at all. But as we move, this is when it gets interesting. The 1st of January. What's weird is we saw the pattern switch from cold in the east, warm in the west, and it flipped into the pattern we're in now, which is obviously cold in the west, warm in the east overall for December. We saw that switch happen right around December 1st, and now it's looking like maybe on January 1st we could see a flip back to where there's a massive cold front heading eastward. Could this be the finisher here? Could this really switch this pattern back for a while? Only time will tell. That southeast ridge is trying so hard to hold on here at the end of this model run. And then we're kind of left with a nail biter here. We don't really know what happens because the cold front is approaching the eastern seaboard here. We still see that cold centered out west, which will pose an interesting, complex situation on this whole pattern. But there's still this warm air holding on. So what will win? We have a nail biter here, guys. I didn't know the weather could be this exciting, and probably you didn't either. But we're going to have to wait until a couple episodes from now to really know what happens. I never thought I could really make a nail biter in one of my videos like that, but that is what we're looking at here. That is the situation, folks. Now, let's take a look at the teleconnections. This is important. AO, Arctic Oscillation. We're watching this line in here. This is our positive-negative line. As long as it stays negative of this, which the mean average is this green one, it looks like it will stay below that blue line I draw, or drew better yet. there. That is basically allowing for Arctic air to pour into the United States. If it goes above this, like this control line does, which is the less likely scenario, but it's possible, then Arctic air is going to get bottled back up into the Arctic regions where it belongs, and the United States is going to warm up quite a bit overall. There will be areas that are colder and areas that are warmer, but they're going to be less potent. Does that make sense? Hopefully. Okay. Let's move on. Anyhow. This is a teleconnection that impacts the eastern United States primarily. In its negative phase, it allows for great blocking in the Atlantic Ocean that allows for troughs to really center themselves over the eastern United States and create nor'easter storms. We've been seeing the nor'easters, but it hasn't been cold enough to really make them pack a punch. This looks to remain negative, just not as negative. So it's kind of following the AO here. Now this is where things get interesting. PNA. In its negative phase, which we look to stay in overall, it encourages colder air over the west. In its positive phase, it encourages warmer air over over the west. Warmer air over the west, that allows for cold air to head generally eastward. Right now, we're in a far negative PNA, and this is going to go through the basement, as you can see. This is going to go below -6. This is going to possibly break records with a negative PNA there. Then this is going to start a hefty climb back up towards the neutral line. As you can see, that is what's going to allow for at least some cold air to make its way eastward, because at least this is heading more towards neutral. And what it does beyond this, we don't really know. Could it go even more positive? Only time will tell. So, generally, things are looking extremely unfavorable for the eastern United States through about the 31st of December. Here, the PNA is the main factor in that. Even the AO and the NAO look fairly I guess good if you like cold and snow in the east, but it's just this PNA is not allowing for us to reap the benefits of that, if that makes sense. But this PNA, like I said, extremely unfavorable here through about the 30th or 31st. Then it becomes fairly decent. It's not completely favorable. Up here would be favorable, but it's getting closer in the long range. You know, the 1st through the 7th of January looking better. We will keep our eye on it. We will keep you guys up to date with this developing situation, obviously, in the coming videos. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. Let's get right into our confidence tab here. And today we're at a 4 out of 6 because we talked about very long-range things today. We talked about very short-range things, yada, yada. I say this every video because I'm always at a 4 out of 6. It's okay. I don't have to explain it this much, I don't think, anymore. For today's comment of the day, I asked you guys, how much snowfall do you really think is possible out west? And James Marr said, I think anywhere from 6 to 10 feet is possible. And I certainly agree, those high amounts are definitely possible. For today's patron highlight of the day, I want to thank you all for supporting the channel, but especially our Platinum patrons, Bill Crates, James Wade, Dovin Nagel, Larry the Pan, Mandy Birchfield, Patrick Strickland, Dave Scott, and Donna Carnes as well. I would also like to thank our Diamond patrons, Bill Roberts, Marcus Connolly, Noah Harley, Michael Codalessa, Catbite, Charles Dennett, Bill Dallas, Gary's, and John Quilisi also. I would also like to thank our channel members, Catbite, Stephen Fan, and Jeremy Cox as well. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to smash that like button, leave a comment down below, and subscribe for more weather-related content. I'll see you guys in the next video.